Welcome to Game of Books with Cathi in South Dakota.
That's me, and Christie in South Florida.
That's me. We're two newbie writers sharing our take on wine, food, and mystery books.
And the authors who write them. Join us for the fun.
Hey, Cathi and all you mysterious foodies. It's October, and there is some weird weather out there. I know down here, it's been so weird. We've had record heat in Fort Lauderdale. I mean, 90s and humid. It feels like middle of the summer. Really, really hot. So how's it been in South Dakota?
That sounds kind of awful. It's been all over the place. It's been all over the place.
It's sweaty. Just put it that way. It's a sweaty October.
We're having kind of all over. We had a little snow last weekend while you and I were in Atlanta, and then it just got beautiful. This last weekend was absolutely gorgeous and picture perfect. And now the last 2 days have been like super high winds, like 40, 35-mile-an-hour winds and rain.
Ooh.
It's just been crazy. Yeah, so there's lots of leaves on the ground. Lots of beautiful leaves that are no longer on the trees, unfortunately.
Aww.
I know. Anyway, probably a good time to be inside and read or have a book club.
Yes, that's a great idea. Here we are.
So today we are doing John Sanford's latest book in the Prey series, Neon Prey. It was really exciting to see him at Thriller Fest last summer. He was the thriller master this year.
Yeah, that was really cool. And next week, actually, we're going to do some Corks and Conversations with some of the authors that were at Thriller Fest. Kind of a compilation of many interviews, so I'm excited for that.
You know, that was really fun. It was long enough ago that I'm really excited to listen to the interviews again because I've forgotten.
And
I mean,
it was pretty chaotic. It was chaotic. It was a lot of fun, but it was like, woo! We did a lot of interviews in a row. So
we did, and so anyway, I'm also very excited to hear about today's food and wine pairing. What have you got for us?
Okay, well, today we have the Carnivor Zinfandel, and I got to tell you, this is the perfect wine. It was the perfect wine. And part of the reason is because, well, let me just read you the description on the website. It says,
okay, I'm going to take a drink.
Okay, you do that. At Carnivor, we love big, bold wines, and we also love smooth finish. Okay, so that's probably what we've got. And then it goes on, and it says, savor this feast for the glass with the juicy feast at your table, which matches what I'm planning on doing for food. Carnivor is perfect with red meat and provides a captivating complement to any cut. And tonight, add a little predator to your prey. Meat was made for carnivore. Can you believe that? They actually said that on their website. I'm like, this has to be perfect.
This is the perfect mix. If people have read this book already, they'll understand. But if not... Yes. You need to get a bottle of Carnivor for when you drink or read this book.
Yes. It's good sipping while you're reading or at the book club with the food that I've chosen to go with it. But this, let me have a sip because I haven't been able to taste it yet. Yum. That is really good. I really like Zinfandels. I really do.
I do too. And this is a bold... I mean, right away, it's a lot of flavor when you take that first drink, but then it's just like smooth. It's really nice.
Yep. It says layered notes of dark cherry, blackberry jam, and perfectly toasted oak. I do. I'm enjoying this. And it goes with the food, because we can't forget some food. And actually, a recipe for what I chose, which is tenderloin, is on the Carnivor website. They actually have it, and they say impress your guests with this center cut roast meat for groups. So it's like perfect because you can make it. It's really easy to make. You can like slice it up. You could have it like with salad, or you could put it on little rolls, and have it with the Carnivor Zinfandel. And And, I mean, it goes well with the book because literally on the second page,
Yes, it does.
on the second page, one of the characters, which is one of the, gross bad guys because he smells and everything and he's a murderer. So anyway, like a lot of Southerners, Deese is big on barbecue and he wants it done right. So he brushes the meat lightly on both sides with extra virgin olive oil, seasoned with kosher salt from the Louisiana salt mines and coarse black pepper. I mean, he's a stickler. He added a sprinkling of filet, a powder made of ground sassafras leaves and mostly used with gumbo, which I have used and it's good. But it works on barbecue too, and it's cooked. And then he cooks the steaks over peach charcoal brought by the Georgia Peckerwood to the Red Stick Farmers Market in Baton Rouge. So this is all in Louisiana. So, we know there's a lot of good food in Louisiana. And this guy, he particularly likes to cook these tenderloins on the grill, barbecue them. Occasionally he might have a fresh liver that he'll cook.
Oh my God.
Yes. So, well, it turns out, we find out about 10 pages later that Deese is eating his human victims. So he's a cannibal.
So there it is. That's it. Christy just let it
So
out. That's
there
what it is.
it is. Well, I mean, you find out on page 10 or something like that. Page 15. So, I mean, it's probably even in the description of the book, like the cannibal guy. When that doesn't tell you everything except for, hello, he's a cannibal. He's eating. and so I was like, okay, I'm going to have to research cannibals a little because, I mean, if we're having beef, because...
Oh my God, you're just enjoying this. Probably a little too much. I'm just thinking maybe a little too much enjoyment.
Well, listen, I mean, one time I did go on, I went on a trip to Tahiti one time and actually a couple times, but that's another story. But it was lovely, lovely place to go. And I remember I think it was on Moorea, one of the islands, or Bora Bora, I think Moorea. Anyway, I went on a tour that was put on by this anthropology guy that just knew everything about the history of the people that lived there. And so he did touch on the fact that, in that area, like Fiji, New Zealand, all around there was a lot of cannibalism in the olden days. I mean, you'd hear about it like, people on their ships, they'd get eaten, things like that. And so, but he talked about it in that particular case that there's different reasons for people to be cannibals, but in this case, they would eat just parts of their recently passed family members to it's like a ritual to have them live on, Okay. So it would be like maybe eat their liver or something, It probably didn't hurt, that it was high in nutrients or whatever, but they weren't necessarily going around getting strangers off the boat. Now,
I'm sorry.
Fiji's another story.
Whenever you mention eating someone's liver, all I can think about is fava beans and a nice Chianti.
I know, right?
I mean, I'm thinking everyone who listens is getting that reference, I presume.
I know. And it's funny, too, because then in my research, I'm like going, well, I wonder if they talk about like how to cook humans, because maybe I should use that recipe.
Okay. Again, you're making a beef tenderloin from a cow. Is that correct?
I am.
Okay.
But,
I just wanted to clarify.
I don't know who's looking at my search engine, my Google search. Hopefully I'm not red flagged anywhere, but I did find, I don't know if you've heard of this site called the Uncyclopedia.
No, I have not.
Yeah, it's a website that parodies Wikipedia. Like its logo is a hollow puzzle potato instead of the globe puzzle logo. And it says they're content-free encyclopedia instead of just the free encyclopedia. So it's all ridiculous. And it's really funny. And so they had a whole page on how to cook a human. I mean,
my.
Yeah, so it's like, here's an example.
Okay.
Like the tomato, which once was thought to be poisonous, human flesh is actually a very healthy alternative to the hormone-injected meat you find at your local supermarket. And
Oh
eating
my
a person
gosh.
is not a soul-crushing sin like some conservative religions want you to believe. The fact is that human flesh is both flavorful and full of the essential nutrition
Okay.
our body needs.
I think we may have just lost every listener out there who is listening. Come back.
It's a
come back. We'll
total.
get past
It's
this.
totally untrue. Because then they go into like, how do you pick the right human? Age. You want them like, I don't know, 13 to 16, and then it talks about like,
Those are irritating
commercialized
years anyway.
human. Yeah. But it is really funny. We'll have to put a link on that because
Yeah.
I mean, some of the like little ads are even funny, and because they were so
I've
ridiculous.
never heard of that
They're
site.
just
Yeah, that
so
sounds
ridiculous.
crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll have to
So
check it out.
anyway, that's fodder for discussion at a book club while you're eating.
Oh, for
some
sure.
beef
For
tenderloin.
Oh my.
And drinking some carnivore, which I imagine would probably go well with human flesh as well.
Well, I am sure glad I could find this wine in South Dakota so we could have this because it is
I
perfect.
know.
And it is really good. We need to do more Zinfandels. This is yummy. Now that we have our food and wine, it's time to talk about the book. So so excited. We are reading John Sanford's 29th Lucas Davenport installment, Neon Prey. And
Wow, that I didn't realize it
know.
was 29. I don't know how
29,
many
and
I've
he-
read of these, but a lot of them.
I have two, and then he has another series as well. And so he publishes 2 books a year,
Oh my gosh.
and he's been doing it for years. For years.
Wow.
So John Sanford, a little bit about him, quick. I'm a longtime fan of his. He's kind of a local writer for me because he's from the Twin Cities, and that's only a few hours away, and that's where I was born originally, and we used to live there. So, and it's actually a pseudonym, John Sanford, for John Camp, who has lived in Minnesota for years and years. He now lives in New Mexico, but he was actually a newspaper reporter at the St. Paul Pioneer Press for many, many years before he started writing. And
Wait a minute. So his real name is John Camp or John Sanford?
John Camp. John Roswell Camp.
Oh.
John Sanford is a pseudonym, yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
And what's so interesting about a pseudonym, not to get terribly off topic, but he's John Sanford at writers' conferences, and in all parts of his life. I think that's so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But it does allow you a little bit of privacy, I imagine, which he probably needs to get all that work done, because he's got 2 series. And
he's probably not even going out in public. He's just home writing every day.
Right, just constantly writing. So this is the Lucas Davenport series in Neon Prey, but he has also another series that's the main character is Virgil Flowers. I'm sure people have read those as well.
Yep.
So Neon Prey involves Clayton Deese, who initially looks like kind of a small-time, low-level, muscle for a loan shark. And the U.S. Marshals get called out to investigate him, and Lucas Davenport is now working for the U.S. Marshals. And so that's how he gets involved. And so he ends up down in Louisiana, and they're digging out behind this guy's house, and they find a whole bunch of graves. And they realize they've got a serial killer on their hands. And so they've kind of got 2 conflicting problems going on. And it just gets wilder and wilder. And as you can tell from the cover, it ends up in Las Vegas. And so, yeah, which is great. So anyway, so here's what I want to talk about with the book is his settings and his location. Because John Sanford is known for really going deep and researching his settings. Like he goes to every location and checks it out as if it was like a movie shot.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that. That's interesting.
Yeah, he scouts locations, he says. And he describes when he used to he used to live in Florida, actually. So this is funny. This is a good combination for us because we got Florida and my neighborhood.
Right.
And when he was a newspaper reporter in Miami at the Miami Herald before he came to St. Paul to be a reporter and then became a writer.
How can somebody do that many things in their life and still be alive?
And be very successful, by the way.
I know.
And still be alive.
It's like,
it would kill
well,
you.
I mean, come on. It's like, how old do you have to be able to be first a reporter and then write 30 books? It's like,
well, I think, he made
or
the
more.
transition.
He must write more than 30 books.
Probably in his 40s, I'm guessing. Yeah. So anyway, when he was at the Miami Herald, he said he was reading a thriller. You'll love this, in which the hero was cast adrift off the Miami coast. This is from an interview, by the way, in therealbookspy.com. Have you ever heard of that book review?
No.
Oh, it's really
that sounds
good.
Interesting.
And the Book Spy did a interview with John Sanford, so I will put the link on our website for that too. But
cool.
he's reading this thriller that takes place in Miami, and when the sun came up, this main character saw a line of hills, and he didn't know, or he knew then because of the hills which direction to paddle or swim. And John Sanford's like, look, here's the problem. There's no hills in Miami. None. It's flat, like South Dakota. And so he said,
This is so
he's
true.
like, he stopped reading. He was like, that just ruined it for me. I couldn't, I couldn't do it. So he said, if you set a crime scene somewhere, you better go look at it. It's kind of his rule.
Right.
So
Except,
I thought
what? Now we have trash mountains.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's what we call them, trash mountains. They're big mounds.
Like a landfill, and then they're going to cover it
like
up
a hill, yeah. Like it's
Wow.
the trash, they just pile it, and cover it with, earth. And
we actually have a beautiful nature park in Brookings from that exact thing, from an old landfill.
Oh, really?
And it's quite lovely. So anyway, here's what I love is, so he's talking about, in this interview, the shift in crimes when he was a reporter from like noticing what kind of crimes they had in Florida to when he moved to Minnesota to be a reporter. And this is what he said, and I just thought it was hilarious. He said the kind of crime they had down in Florida was this trashy, weird, bizarre, crazy stuff that was usually done out of stupidity and general venality and greed. That's what he said about Florida.
Right.
That's when he was a reporter. And then he says the Twin Cities and Minnesota in general didn't have that kind of random trashy crime as much, but they had a lot of crimes that were really dark and seemed to be the thing that got hatched over a long, cold winter. And I just thought,
that's so funny.
Isn't that a funny? So apparently we're a little bit darker up here and a little bit stupid and trashy, apparently, down in Florida, our crimes. I just thought that was hilarious, but I thought it was funny that he could characterize crimes in both of our neighborhoods.
I know. That's funny.
I know. But anyway, so what did you think about the setting in this book? I mean, first we've got the rural Louisiana and then Las Vegas.
I like the, Louisiana setting, this because it's similar to Florida, the swampy, the flat, so I do like that setting. And that's interesting that he must have gone there to get it straight. And as far as Las Vegas is concerned, well, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So maybe we should just, we need to probably explore Vegas a little bit.
Well, and I thought, that he did such a good job of describing, just the crowds in Vegas, like in a couple different scenes, like just this, slew of people and the crime and the corruption. I just thought that he just kind of nailed that setting. I mean, it was really interesting. And, when he talked about the rural Louisiana thing, I wasn't as much of a fan because some of my least favorite images are snakes. Let's just say it. I don't like snakes. And he kept talking about the snakes at that weird graveyard. And I was like, this is going to be hard for me to get through. But it probably didn't bother you at all.
No.
No.
Well, I don't look at it all the same way. I mean, yeah, maybe I don't want to see a bunch, like bodies and things, but I have spent a lot of time out in like swampy areas. So it's not an unusual. I don't know. I should stop talking while I'm ahead. I'm thinking, because if somebody looked at my like search engine, and then here I'm like, I spend a lot of time in the swamps.
Okay, we're good. Let's move on. Writer's perspective.
All right, so this week we want to talk about tips or techniques in writing a mystery series.
John Sanford is what you could call an expert on this, and he could probably tell us a lot about the subject. And he is a great teacher and speaker. We both know that.
Yes. Would be nice. Wouldn't it be nice if we had him on a podcast?
It'd be great.
I don't think he has time for it.
Well, now he's writing 2 books a year.
I know. If he was still down here, maybe, we could... I don't know. But anyway, since we're newbie writers and we need all the guidance we can get, I know, Cathi, that you're outlining your second book and what you consider a series based on your first book, Repent. So I thought, well, this is a pretty timely discussion. I mean, we've got, John Sanford and his expertise in series. So I was like, well, maybe we should explore it a little to see if we're doing it right.
Right? For sure. Mm-hmm. And that's perfect for both of us because we both can see a series coming from these characters, and obviously we're not done with them. So that's the great thing. We want them to live on. Yeah, and I think in researching what to talk about in the writer's perspective, we found an article by Camille Menicino. She's a writer, I think, in California. We'll put her website or the link to this article where she talks about the 10 tips if you want to write a mystery series. And I thought it was really kind of fun to read over it. And the first one was the one that, we're just talking about right now. You want to pick your protagonist wisely because you want somebody that you can come back to again and again. Yeah. I'm not sure I thought about that ahead of time. Well, I guess I kind of did because I was thinking about, what the character arcs... my character's arc was going to be in this first book, what we're hoping to see from her growth. And now I can kind of see where she needs to go in the next book. And, so she's complex. And I think you have 2 good reasons that you can make your character into a series because of her age, for one thing. I mean, that's why it kind of, you just automatically want to know where she's going to go in her life because she made it through this obstacle. Now what's the next step? And so that's where I can go with it. And I do think with your main character, so interesting, such an interesting, history that you can draw from all areas of it. And she could go a bunch of different ways depending on where life takes her. So that's cool too. Yeah, I think so too. And it's interesting because one of her tips was about marking your calendar. So you can decide if you're going to age your character or not. When's the next episode going to occur? And for me, it's going to occur like 3 weeks after this first one does. That's where my second book, which is called Fester, it will take off. Right. But yours, what do you think? Do you think it would be some time? Well, mine is going to be. Mine was more like. Let's see, June, July, about 4 months, 4 or 5 months. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. So another one of her tips is, this is hilarious, I thought, for John Sanford's skill set. Tip number 9 is that you need to kill creatively. She says, beware the readers of series like to be surprised, but not too much. So you want to be creative with your villains and your weapons. And I just thought, well, he pretty much nailed that doing the cannibal. Right. And he even said, and in this same interview with the Real Book Spy, he said, it occurred to me that I had never done a cannibal, maybe because Hannibal Lecter's shadow falls on them. But then I decided, what the hell, I'm just going to do one. And so I decided to find a credible person to embed the cannibal in. Instead of making him a complete nutso like Lecter, I decided to make him a barbecue aficionado. He said, he's not eating people because he's crazy. He's eating them because they're available high-quality meat. Christy, which is very similar to what you said earlier.
That goes perfectly with the website. Yeah.
Isn't that great?
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh
Again,
my
I'll put the
gosh.
link up to that interview. It's a really good interview.
Well, it's interesting, too, because when I was researching, I did notice that there were some of the people, there was a website that had like 7 cannibals on there that described what human flesh tastes like. And so it was like true life, supposedly, like this guy was a serial killer. This guy was just a total whack job. One guy like ate his own hip meat because he had a hip replacement and asked for the bone. And I was like, that was somebody over in, I don't know, far from here, because I was like, what? But they were just, some of them just wanted to taste it. They just wanted to taste it.
I think it's time to move on. I don't know that I have anything great to contribute to this right now.
I know, that's really funny. I'm making a steak tonight for sure, but it's not.
I'm making pizza, and that's already been ruined for me a few episodes ago. So okay.
Yeah, that's true. I'm really sorry. I kind of go to the dark side of the food.
Well, Christy, I love today's discussions. Kind of. I'm just saying kind of. But I will say I really do like this bottle of wine. What do you think?
Yes, I do too. I think, Zinfandel is going to be on the top of my list. And I do like this Carnivor one. So maybe I'll, try some others and see if it's the Zinfandel or the Carnivor. But it's really good. And it was only, $11 or $12?
Yeah.
So, okay, Cathi, I know this is the time. I made us hold ourselves accountable.
Yeah, this was your idea. I'm just saying.
And I can tell I'm already regretting it because I haven't had any time for real writing. I mean, podcast scripts and working on the design, because we went to that great conference, She Podcast.
Yeah, we went to the
She Podcast Live.
Yeah. There you go. And it was great.
Yes. I mean, it was great that we got to see each other. We got to podcast together. We got to learn all this crazy stuff and all, more than we can ever implement, I'm sure. It's like amazing what's out there. But we are trying to do some of it. So I've been focusing on that because I want to get it all done before November, because I want to do some NaNoWriMo writing.
NaNoWriMo.
Are you going to try? You going to try a little bit? I mean, I think if we have that goal, it might be more than usual, maybe.
Yeah.
It's my whole accountability thing, Cathi.
No, I like the accountability, and I think it's great, especially if you're ready to rock and roll on November 1st. And I love that you're getting so much work done on the podcast, and thank you for that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So I want to get a lot of writing done in November, but I'm not sure that I'm necessarily going to fit it within the NaNoWriMo construct, I guess, at this point. But it's a good goal.
I just want to read your first one.
Yeah. So actually, I'm going to read it all tomorrow. I just printed it off today. And I've been doing lots of revisions, like chunks, and kind of jumping all over the place. And so it's time to go back and read it as a whole and read it out loud. And so I'm gonna try, after a meeting tomorrow morning, I'm gonna try to take as much of the day as I can to get that done. So we'll see.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then go from there. So.
Oh, good. Well, I can't wait. So that's very good. You've been a little bit better than me and staying the course, and you're an organized person, and I'm impressed by you. So I'm going to try to.
You're being entirely too kind, but thank you. Yes,
no,
I'm very organized.
Anyway, so we've got our goals, and we're busy still in October.
Yeah,
I'm going to homecoming at college next weekend.
Oh, that's gonna be so fun.
I know. See some
old
roommates and stuff. So yeah, and then Halloween, and then I'm really gonna focus. I just feel like it.
That sounds great.
Yep. And don't forget that next week we're going to have our part 1 of our Corks and Conversation at Thriller Fest. So I hope everybody listens. It'll be so good. There's so many good authors we talked to.
Oh, we talked to, how many authors did we talk to?
11.
11 authors. And they were all over the gamut from types of authors and types of thriller writing that they did. And it was very exciting. And newbie writers to people really, really experienced and who have done this a lot. It was really wonderful. I think everyone's really going to like it. And I think you're probably going to be introduced to some writers that you may not have known up to this point.
Yeah, so that'll be exciting.
Yes, it will.
All right, so I guess we should say cheers.
Cheers. Thanks to our mysterious foodies out there for listening and sharing. Check out our website, gameofbookspodcast.com, where you can find links to all we talk about. And if you subscribe to our weekly newsletter, you can get those links sent directly to you, along with any exciting updates. We are also on Facebook and Twitter under @GOBWriters.
And if you enjoyed this episode as much as we did, we would love to hear from you. And please subscribe to Game of Books wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss any of our book club ideas and Corks and Conversations with award-winning and best-selling authors.
That's all for today's episode of Game of Books Podcast, where we share food, wine, and mystery every Friday morning, just in time for the weekend.
This is Christy
and Cathi
saying thanks for listening.
Bye, everybody.